Why are visualizations so powerful? And what is it about them that resonates?
I think we are visual creatures to begin with. We are kind of wired to perceive a lot of the world through our eyes, recognize patterns, contrasts, and so on. On the kind of flip side of that, we're not wired to kind of take in numbers and raw data. They're tools that we invented later to kind of help us deal with the world. I think whereas there's a small portion of the population that is kind of comfortable with numbers and raw data, maybe 1%, visualization is a way to take that data and make it kind of understandable and even engaging for a far larger audience than the underlying data.
Does that bring with it an added sense of responsibility? I mean, if you're reaching that many people and you're able to influence them, I mean, is that an important part of it?
It definitely comes with responsibility, but I'm not sure about the added part. I've always hated the phrase lies, damn lies, and statistics. I actually think it's lies, damn lies, and politics, because it's all about how you present the data, how you kind of prepare it, and kind of the story that you make the data tell. Therefore, kind of, I think that kind of coming back to the first question, that just our visual kind of capabilities make it harder to lie with a chart than without it. So yes, definitely with responsibility, but there are, there are responsibilities in everything we do, and I think that we're kind of more capable of if people are properly transparent about the underlying methods and so on, where the data comes from, how they've kind of presented it and so on, I think actually any lie in a chart is more obvious than a lie in text or speech. So.
Are we getting to a point where visualizations are less about the representation of information and more about the story or the narrative or the information that's the deeper part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of in their simplest forms, visualizations are all about stories to begin with. They kind of, we see it in the office all the time, for example, at DataMarket, where we're working with literally hundreds of millions of time series data. Whenever the developers kind of bring something onto the screen, there are questions that jump on you, like, why is France the only country that's doing well in kind of getting rid of fossil fuels? And our developers kind of tend to go out and kind of dig for the answers to that. So visualizations kind of the questions start jumping at you as soon as you start visualizing stuff, and then you can obviously use visualization to kind of communicate the reasons and the stories behind that. And I think that we'll see visualization tools move maybe more towards not only being about making a chart or making a simple visualization, but more about the storytelling, the annotation, the kind of step-by-step build-up of a story in a visualization. We certainly hope to be a part of that.
Last question for you. We chatted at Web 2 Expo, I think back in March, and we were talking about data markets. How have data markets changed over the brief period of time, basically about 6 months?
Yeah, actually, I wrote a blog post, in the beginning of the year, where I kind of wrote my predictions for data markets during the year, and I think they have come largely true. I think we've seen data markets specialize a little bit more. There are a few people, at least, that are going after, being the ultimate data market for everything. We see kind of two broad categories. I see data markets that are more for developers. Windows Azure Marketplace being one, Factual maybe another one, InfoChimps. They're catering to the developer community, and then another category of data markets that are catering to the end users. We would be among them. So would somebody like Buzz Data. Wolfram Alpha is probably stepping into that space, and even within these two broad categories, we see. We're dealing solely with quantitative data. Buzz Data is dealing with the kind of social interactions that you have on top of it, and on the developer side, we have somebody like, Windows Azure, mainly catering to the Windows developer community. Factual kind of seem to have, their initial efforts seem to be a lot about geolocation, addresses, and things like that. So I think we'll see even more specialization before we see them kind of converge and expand more. And kind of become more of a global or ultimate data market. It's already a big market. I think the total kind of market for data that is for sale is already around $50 billion if you count kind of the Bloombergs and the Reuters and the market research companies and these guys. And there isn't going to be one. There are going to be a lot of specialized marketplaces and kind of expanding that market even further.
Well, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.